What has happened to punk? It seems in the modern day, punk is no longer linked to anti-establishment or even music in the same way it was back in the day. It seems nowadays it's entirely linked to fashion and the way in which people look, with styles that were originally intended to shock and make a statement becoming so commonplace that a typical punk in the modern day isn't anti-establishment. They just work at a Starbucks and have an addiction to sheen. At the time, it was known as anti-fashion. It was mainly just DIY and second-hand clothing. It was done to be shocking and kind of link itself with the attitude of punk at the time, the lyricism and the music, basically become a walking, talking protest symbol. But there was just one problem with this whole thing. Despite the fact the clothing was ripped up and supposed to look complete dog shit, it actually did look quite good. So very quickly, the style started to attract fashion-obsessed motherfuckers, with high fashion outlets deciding to sell this style of clothing for an exorbitant price, which is ironic considering the whole point of it is to be cheap and DIY. And that brings us very quickly and without a lot of context into the modern day, where fast fashion is as prominent as it's ever been. Companies are producing fashion items incredibly quickly. Most people nowadays will wear something that is somewhat inspired by punk. So it was originally worn to fight against the societal norms, but as society has trudged along and things have become more acceptable, punk fashion is just the societal norm nowadays. Despite this, fast fashion is not punk at all and should not be linked to punk in any way. It pretty much goes against everything the original subculture aimed to fight against. Do you think the typical 70s punk would be okay with rapidly produced clothing made within developing countries by quote-unquote staff members who have to work 16 to 18 hours a day just creating punk-themed slops so it can be delivered to somebody and flexed on their Instagram story?